Am I the asshole for refusing to pay for a meal at a restaurant? My girlfriend and I recently went out for dinner. It took them a while to seat us as they were short-staffed. We ordered an appetizer to split as well as a meal each. I noticed that they were really trying to rush us along, bringing out our meals at the same time as the appetizer. The server kept grabbing things off the table, asking, "All finished with this?" and beginning to walk away with it in her hand, before I stopped her and told her we weren't finished. After the third time, first the bread, then my half-filled beer, and then the appetizer. I had enough. "I understand you have a job to do. Please do not touch anything in front of me until it is cleared and off to the side. Stop interrupting our meal. Please go away," I said very sternly. A friend of mine came in and was seated at a table nearby. I turned around to greet him and engaged in chit-chat for about 2 minutes. When I turned around, my meal, which I had barely touched, was gone. My girlfriend hadn't even noticed it go missing. I called the waitress over, who handed me the check and asked, "Will there be anything else?" I told her my meal had disappeared. She blankly replied, "Oh, I thought you were done." I said, "No, I am still eating. Go get my dinner and bring it back here." She replied, It got thrown out? Because you looked like you were done, so yeah." I told her to go get her manager. She responded that he didn't have time to see me. I told her that he needed to make time because I was about to make a scene in 4 seconds. She left and a minute later came back and said that he was too busy. I told her to reprint the check without my meal on it. She refused, saying I ordered it, I had to pay for it, and walked away. I let my girlfriend finish her meal. Took the check, put a line through the cost of my meal, pulled cash out of my wallet to cover the appetizer, drinks, and my girlfriend's meal, wrote, "No tip. Your server was rude, incompetent," and threw out my dinner, and handed it to the cashier as one bundle as I walked out. My girlfriend thinks I went a bit overboard and that I should have at least tipped for the other employees involved. My mother, a retired waitress, is furious that I took it upon myself to alter a check and leave without paying for food I ordered. She thinks it was an honest mistake and I need to be more understanding. I'm usually on the side of servers, but this seems a bit much. Who takes someone food without even asking if they want to box it up? Especially if there was a lot left over. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. What's the manager there for then? Sounds like you made it very clear not to remove plates. Waitstaff doing that after is deliberate. Handing you the bill and saying will there be anything else is kinda hostile too. Sounds like she had an issue with you from the get-go. Weird way to treat a customer. Not the asshole. They ruined your meal. You shouldn't have to pay for it. I would also write bad reviews on Yelp and Google. Not the asshole. Both my parents and my girlfriend have worked in food service, so I almost always give servers the benefit of the doubt, but this waitress was way out of line. It's common practice, at least to my knowledge, to always ask before clearing plates. You shouldn't have to pay for something that you didn't even get a chance to eat. As a former server, not the asshole. WTF? I feel like there's a high probability that the server lied about her manager being busy. Even if he was busy, it's her job to talk to angry guests, so you should have said, "Okay, I'll wait until he's available." Not the asshole. Perfectly executed. You asked for a service, did not get said service, so why should you pay for it? Also, feel free to slander the shit out of them on Facebook, Google, Yelp, wherever. That's how you not only get things to change, but dissuade others from having shitty experiences themselves. Edit. I keep getting these replies, so yes, my use of the term slander is grammatically poor. I apologize. I used it in the same sense that I would say, "Man, that guy crushed that baseball." Just trying to be a bit more colorful than posted on Facebook. Not the asshole. Honest mistakes are made right. Either comp or refire. She was incompetent and didn't earn a tip. Not the asshole. I worked in restaurants briefly. We were in a resort, so we were packed and turning people away every night we were open. We would have never cleared items unless they were completely empty or we asked first. Call back when the restaurant is dead and ask to speak to the manager. My bet is that she didn't even try to get him, but even if she did try, they should be making a serious apology and trying to make things right for you. Am I the asshole for telling the officer where my mom's boyfriend was the day he was supposed to attend court? So, my 16 male, mom has been with her boyfriend, Joseph, for a few months now. He lives with us most of the time. Now I don't know the full extent of what's going on exactly, but from what I understand is that he got caught up in child support case and he just keeps missing a court date after a court date, basically avoiding to show up. Also, from what I understand, his ex has a sick child who needs money to pay for medical bills. The other day, an officer showed up to our house while I was outside fixing the fence. Joseph opened the door and I heard his entire conversation with the officer telling him he couldn't attend court last week cause he had a family emergency and had to go out of town to deal with it. The officer seemed skeptical about believing his story and insisted on the importance of respecting court date, attendance. After the officer was done talking to Joseph, he approached me and started asking me about what I was doing. He then asked if I saw Joseph on X date Y day. I said yes, told him he was with Mom at her apartment that is located in XXX. The officer seemed confused. He went back to the porch and rang the door again. Joseph opened the door and they started talking. I freaked out internally because the officer was confronting him with my statement, so I decided to go to a neighbor friend's place. After a while I got an angry call from Mom telling me to get my snitching ass home ASAP. I went home and she blew up at me saying that Joseph had just been taken to the police station after I snitched on him to the officer. I told her I got worried and couldn't lie to the officer, but she screamed that I just got her boyfriend in a huge trouble instead of keeping my mouth shut or say I knew nothing. She scolded me for 30 minutes, had a full-on breakdown, then punished me, then left to be with Joseph in the station. I felt so confused and regretful for getting them into trouble, but I just couldn't help lie to the officer because this could have major repercussions and I'm not the type who wants to get involved in trouble. I'm punished for eternity by the looks of it and I don't think I made the right call here. Not the asshole, and everyone else in this situation is an asshole, including the cop. The boyfriend sucks for so many reasons, including not providing for his child. Your mom sucks for wanting you to lie to a cop. Seriously, what the hell is she thinking? Don't do it, no matter what she tells you to do. Lastly, the cop sucks for talking with you without a parent present, and for failing to consider your safety when confronting the boyfriend. Someone should file a complaint against him. Damnation. You should not have to deal with this kind of shit at 16. Not the asshole. Also, I'm not a fan of the police officer's actions of asking a minor for information that might put the minor in danger at home. It's actions like that which result in distrust in policing institutions. Where is that officer now that op has to deal with their mom, and Joseph when he returns? Not the asshole. It's Joseph's fault that he didn't attend court. If he makes the silly decision to skip a court date, then you're not responsible for lying in order to help him avoid any ramifications. And seriously, all this talk about snitching and getting him in trouble, what, are they at school? Your mom is horrible. You absolutely did the right thing. Do you have another trusted adult you can stay with? Not the asshole? Not the asshole lying to the police could get you in trouble. The only one at fault here is the mother's boyfriend who's refusing his responsibilities. The only one who got the boyfriend in trouble was himself. Not the asshole. They can't expect you to lie to the police, especially when you were so ill-prepared. It's not like you went up to the police officer and said it without any prompting, you were asked. Not the asshole but your mom, her boyfriend, and the cops are. You did the right thing being honest. No 16 years old should be asked to cover for their mom's boyfriend with warrants. The police should have been more discreet about how they questioned you and confronted him. Not the asshole. Joseph is a deadbeat, and your mom is knowingly putting you in a bad position by expecting you to cover for him. They're the Oz here. The officer approached you, asked you questions, and you were honest. Not your fault Joseph was dodging child support. You did the right thing and I'm sorry your mom is essentially choosing her boyfriend over you here. Am I the asshole for flashing my abs after getting unsolicited diet advice? Last Saturday, I, 30 per meter, was meeting my girlfriend's, 25, friends for the first time. Since I'm currently in the middle of an intense weightlifting program, I'm eating a crazy amount. My girlfriend being the champion, she has decided that we could go to a nice all-you-can-eat buffet in our city for lunch with her friends. We met in front of the restaurant where she introduced me to her friends, 2 women and 1 man. About 30 minutes into lunch, the conversation turned to fitness, nutrition because someone had asked what I was interested in. Around that time I got my 3rd full plate of ham, chicken, veggies, and a big bowl of macaroni because one could. I mean, I grew up with serious food insecurity. If I'm going to spend $60 to eat at a buffet, I'm going to be the reason the buffet doesn't cost $50 instead. Around this time one of her friends, a nutritionist, told me I was eating way too much. I honestly thought this crossed the line because who the hell says something like that at a freaking buffet of all places? I responded by assuring her that I was lifting really hard and trying to gain weight. This apparently was interpreted as an open invitation to give me more unsolicited advice, so she continued that I was going to put on a lot of body fat and overstress my organs eating like that all the time, plus I couldn't put muscle mass on that quickly anyway. I let her rant run its course thinking it would be over soon, but she kept pushing the issue every time I said I was fine. This easily went on for 5 minutes while everyone else was talking about other stuff. Eventually I got tired of it, stood up, and pulled up my t-shirt to show my abs. I told her I had been eating like this for several months and if she could show me where I was getting metabolic syndrome. She then continued debating about how I probably had a lot of visceral fat, 32, waist, and that she was only trying to help. Again, I told her I was fine and kept eating. Finally the other people at the table remembered we existed and there was a lot of awkward silence. Well, yesterday my girlfriend approached me and said her friends don't like me very much. We had already argued about this on Saturday after we all left, and I told her what I did was absolutely reasonable considering the circumstances. Now she's giving me these cryptic messages about how much she values her friends and how she has known them longer than she has known me. I'm afraid I stepped over a line, but was I really wrong here? Not the asshole, your girlfriend should be mad at her friend that doesn't know when to drop the subject. Not the asshole, unsolicited diet advice in a buffet restaurant is always a bad idea. If you want to salvage your relationship, ask your girlfriend to clarify her cryptic messages. It sounds like she is okay with your weight training and eating but then she's okay with her friend harassing the crap out of you. It sounds like this is a new relationship? Not the asshole, also your GF's nutritionist friend has terrible meal etiquette. The irony. Not the asshole, your response was kind funny haha. If a man, even if he was a nutritionist, sat there and criticized a woman what she was eating it would be a major no-go amongst the people there. But for some reason she just kept pushing? I get it was maybe a bit embarrassing for her but I don't think it's the biggest of deals. Weird that she's taken it so badly. Gonna say not the asshole. You were polite at first and she kept giving unwanted advice. Also know of her business to tell you how to eat. Not the asshole, I'd be mortified if my friends did this to my partner. Are you sure your girlfriend supports you doing the weightlifting, and that she didn't ask her friend to do this? Not the asshole, her friend was incredibly rude. If you want to mention it once it's rude, no matter her profession. She's not at work and you're not a client. To belabor the issue ad nauseum is outrageous. Your girlfriend is also an asshole for not standing up to her in public, and doubly an asshole for doubling down on you in private. Feel free to reassure her that you don't want to make her choose between you and her friends, but also feel free to tell her you're not a child and have no interest in her friend's unsolicited advice, regardless of her intention. Her response is going to tell you a lot about where this relationship is headed. Not the asshole, but your relationship is on the rocks as she values her friend's opinions more than her friend's behavior and etiquette. Am I the asshole for saying I would throw out my sister if she brought her child to my childless wedding? Okay, I need a sanity check to see if I'm being a bridezilla here. My fiancé, M27, and I, F26, are planning our wedding. We decided to have a childless wedding for several reasons. I know that the idea of a childless wedding is pretty heavily discussed on its own, but we've been to both childless weddings and those with children and found those without just simply more relaxed and undisturbed. Our wedding will be in early 2023, but we already warned out family that we don't want children there. We brought that up over the holidays and nobody complained back then. We haven't made official invitations yet either, but we wanted the info out as early as possible. Last week I was at my parents' house and my sisters were there too. Sister 1 asked me if my one niece might come along, since she will be over 16 when the wedding takes place. Where we live that's also the legal drinking age. Since I think that my niece would be able to partake in the wedding mostly like an adult, aka staying there late, eating her food, don't start to cry or run around randomly, have a toast with us, I said that she can come along. Sister 2 just laughed at this and basically just said, yeah, as if she can control if you can bring your child, and said she would bring her son, 5 now, as well. I told her that I don't want children there and she just said that I can't stop her. I answered that if she will just randomly bring her child we will just send her away and not let her in. She called me a bridezilla for that, and some insults and basically just left. My mom said that I should let my nephew come too, just for peace's sake. But it's the wedding of my fiancé and me and we don't want children there. Am I being a bridezilla for wanting that? And #X200B. Additional information. I know that the problem is not that she can't get a babysitter. For once, my sister and her husband make more money than me and my fiancé, and we're both already well off. Secondly, my nephew sleeps over at her in-laws most weekends, mostly Saturday to Sunday. He's their first grandchild, so they're over the moon with him, and my sister and her husband get some time for themselves. The wedding is on a Saturday, which would be the date night of my sister and her husband anyways. Extra edition. I'm not a native English speaker, so sorry for any mistakes. Not the asshole. You might have been the asshole if you refused for the 16-year-old to come, but a 5-year-old and a 16-year-old are hugely different developmentally and in their ability to behave at weddings. Not the asshole. In my opinion, you drew a clear line. 16 is close enough to an adult, 5 is not. The end. If your sister thinks she can do whatever she pleases at your wedding, she's wrong. 16 is almost an adult. 5 is not. A 16-year-old can have fun, dance, talk and be expected not to whine, cry or loudly say "Mummy, I need a wee" in the middle of the ceremony. Your sister is doing the adult version of, "It's not FAAAAIIIIRRRR." Don't give in. Not the asshole. You are not a bridezilla, but she is definitely a sisterzilla. Not the asshole. For all intents and purposes 16 is considered an adult in many places. Around adults a 16-year-old will, most likely, behave appropriately. A 5/6-year-old is likely to cause a fuss out of boredom and wanting attention. Not the asshole. Make it easy. No one under 16. Not the asshole. If your country views a 16-year-old as responsible enough to drink, how can a 5-year-old possibly compare? If your sister disagrees with your wedding invitation criteria, she can opt not to come, but I seriously doubt she would bring her son just to cause a scene. She was just being a brat. Not the asshole. There's a huge difference between 16 plus and 5. If you let your nephew come, then you aren't going to have room to tell other parents they can't bring their kids. Your wedding, your choice on allowing children or not.